everybody. Welcome to MUFC Red Devils NCR's post-match discussion on how a crazy game against Brighton unfolded. Um, it was a win, no matter how it came, but then it also leaves a lot of questions to be answered in terms of the team that was picked, in terms of how we played, in terms of how we got lucky. Hi, Ashley. Welcome back. And
Hi, Mojo.
while you said Liverpool Leeds would be a humdinger, I think this was a crazy kind of a humdinger yesterday.
The Leeds Liverpool game had was devoid of defense, both teams, but it was end-to-end football,
Right.
and it was
Right.
it was quality when it in the midfield, the forward line, there was quality in both sides. The intensity was there from both teams, very high intensity,
Mm.
which was missing in
Right.
yesterday's game.
I
There
think
was
yesterday, again, one of those problems as far as we are concerned came to the fore that there were selection issues with regards to Lindelof again starting. There was a selection issue with regards to Pogba starting. But then,
yes,
if you recall, when we were discussing the preview for this game, I had said that I still believe Oli would give Lindelof a chance to brush off, the nightmare that he had against Crystal Palace. But then, how do you cover for the fact that you're there thinking that Lindelof should be given a chance so that he can improve and get his match fitness going as well? And then you have Aaron Van Bissaka turn up the kind of performance he did for last 25 minutes. It was horrible. I mean, we were, I think for the last 15 minutes we had five at the back, and those last 15 minutes not only did we concede a goal, but Aaron Van Bissaka went missing for about five or six of their clear chances, and despite playing five at the back.
the defense was all over the place, all over the place. Aaron Van Bissaka, I don't know what he was doing. This is what I think I was discussing it yesterday also with a few people, that
Right.
you need the coach on the touchline screaming at his players. It's not enough saying the players know what they have to do and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way. The coach needs to be on the touchline screaming at their players. The game is fluid, it keeps changing. Brighton's tactics may change, or whoever the team is playing, the tactics change. Yes, you have to make changes at that time from the touchline. Look at the first half. They were pathetic. They were just strolling.
Right.
They were just strolling. There was no press. There was no attacking. There was no intensity. They were just strolling around. So Brighton were very happy playing the ball around, passing the ball around through that from the defense to midfield. Nobody was. There was no press whatsoever. They were just lolling around the ground, doing nothing, looking at each other, looking for somebody else to react. There was no reaction. There was nothing. Brighton were having it good. You
Right.
need someone to energize the team from the touchline, to keep shouting, screaming. If you watch the game with Chelsea, West Brom, Bilic was actually hitting his chest and telling his team, like, come on, show some heart, fight, fight. They were up against it against
Right.
Chelsea. Absolutely up against
Right.
it. But they still managed a 3-all draw in spite of being 3-0 up because of Chelsea's quality. But that is what a coach needs to do. Tell me which top level managerial coach do you see sitting on the bench, sitting on a chair somewhere, watching a monitor when his team is playing so badly? Have you ever seen Hansi Flick even sitting? Have you seen Bielsa? He's just pacing up the touchline nervously, screaming. That's how it should be. Because your team has to perform. They have to be pushed from the touchline. Okay, it's not enough just telling
Right.
them, okay, go out and do this. Then you might as well not come out. Sit in the dressing room and watch it. Why are you coming out? You
Right.
have the game being played in front of you on the pitch. You need to create something over there from the touchline, screaming, shouting, get your players to perform. Who was going to tell Van Bissaka to come into position? Who was going to tell the players to press? The only person who was pressing to some extent the whole game was Bruno Fernandes, and I think my man of the match was Matej. He was superb. If it wasn't
Yes.
for him, he
Yes.
would have conceded more goals. Definitely.
I
But
mean, that's what the discussion was, that uh, McTominay should not be there playing a CDM ever again post what he turned out against Crystal Palace. And yes, Matic was the stabilizing factor we need in the midfield. More so because, again, Pogba is still unfit. However, Oli was in terms of his demeanor, in terms of sitting on the
I think
terraces,
yeah,
sorry, on the
the team
yeah, go on.
selection was all wrong.
Yes, I mean, see, my only point of contention, if any, was Pogba starting and Lindelof starting after what he turned
Exactly.
up against Crystal Palace.
I agree
But then
completely.
this is what we were discussing. Yeah, this is what we were discussing offline, that um, Oli doesn't have any more matches or any more games wherein he can get the likes of Pogba and the likes of Lindelof or Maguire to become a little more stable the way they were last season, apart from actually playing them in proper matches and hoping that within a game or two they'll be sharp enough and they'll be fit enough. But uh, I mean, a lot of fans would disagree with me, but then I think if I was to give a 1 out of 10 to the Lindelof and Maguire show against Crystal Palace, I'll probably give them a 3 out of 10 against Brighton. But still, 3 out of 10 is horrendous. But Pogba yesterday was, I mean, he's just not suggesting anything that his fitness is improving or his focus on the game is improving. His passes are all over the place. His ball retention is becoming bad. I mean, I can understand the player cannot last 90 minutes because he's just not fit enough post his COVID recovery. But how can you use your excuse of not being fit enough against not exercising your skills properly in terms of ball retention or in terms of your ability to pass the ball to a player who's barely 10 yards away from you? So Pogba selection and Lindelof selection, and again, I discussed this with you
Correct.
that knowing Oli and the fabric that he's cut out with in terms of he resembles the nearest to the Fergie kind of ethos. So I was expecting Lindelof to start because he would give him a chance to prove his doubters wrong. And to a certain extent, Lindelof did turn up a little better performance than he did against Crystal Palace. Pogba selection was baffling. I'm pretty much sure had Van de Beek started instead of Pogba, we would have been a lot more fluent. And previously in the Crystal Palace game, if McTominay was letting our midfield lose the battle, in this game it was Pogba who was letting the midfield lose the battle. So we would have been better off had um, Van de Beek started, and these are the only two worries for me. And then you look at a very minor improvement in a Maguire and a Lindelof partnership, and then Aaron Van Bissaka goes and screws it up.
See, as a supporter, as a fan of the club, you want the club to do well. But a true supporter and a fan is going to call out the team, is going to call out the players, is going to call out the management if the team is playing badly. And that's how it should be. And the only
Right.
positive from the game was the 3 points. Nothing else.
Exactly.
It was such a disgusting, disgraceful, deplorable performance yesterday. Words fail me. I'm really at a loss for words as to now you cannot. I mean, it's very weird. Is it that Oli is just playing his favorites regardless of how they perform on the pitch? There was no way he should have played Paul Pogba. There was no way he should have played Lindelof. Okay, bringing Fred on, fine, because he played well the last game, but I still think Van de Beek should have started before Pogba. Lindelof and Maguire at the back are a nightmare. To top it all, Van Bissaka had an awful game. Shaw was good in patches. Yes. But you can't play a Premier League game in patches. It has to be intensity throughout the game. And we were playing Brighton. We were not playing Manchester City or Liverpool or Leeds. We were playing Brighton. Okay. Can you imagine as you were saying, in the last 15 minutes, we were under the cosh. We are all 10 players defending. Brighton were
Right.
the pressure. There were just raids upon raids upon raids, and Van Bissaka, I don't know where he was. I don't know how any of the shots didn't go in. 5 or 6 unmarked down the left wing, Brighton, unmarked. Nobody tackling, nobody spotting the player. They were just It was like a training session, and I don't know how the ball didn't go in. I
I mean,
don't understand how somebody needs to tell these players something. I can understand if it
in the
happens one
last,
game. Okay, the
right,
next game
right.
you need to tell these players what is happening, and they cannot come up with the same performance. It's like how badly do they have to play to get dropped?
Right. I
Okay,
think
you
the
can
last
blame,
15 minutes,
yeah, you can blame
in the last
the
15
board
minutes, I think
to some extent.
on the left wing, sorry, on the right wing, in the last 15 minutes, they had about 4 shots which went over the bar.
Yes,
And
one off the bar,
when,
two off the bar.
when I'm talking about Lindelof and Maguire having a slightly better day, and then you look at the fact that Brighton hit the woodwork about 4 to 5 times, that basically tells me they had a good chance of striking the ball at the goal for about 8 to 9 times easily, and they converted 2 of them into goals. So which was reminiscent of the statistic that came out that they had 15 shots on target as compared to 5 of ours, and it's just yes. I mean, look, as much as we might say that. The game was not good enough from our side. There were selection issues. There are still performance issues. But let's look at the positive side. Um, the Bruno's pass for a Rashford goal and Rashford's finish was something reminiscent of how we played the post-COVID 9 or 10 games, wherein the passing was incisive and the Rashford's finish was good. I mean, that was a very, it was finished with a lot of aplomb. And that is a Rashford we hope turns up in the matches ahead.
I hope that happens on a consistent basis.
Right.
Now, these are not players in one of the top leagues in the world. Professional players playing football for so many years. Rashford, you can go through the analysis of past matches, statistics, see how many times he gets caught offside. In fact, yesterday he scored a goal from an offside position.
It was offside twice yesterday.
Exactly. You need to actually be able to understand, to know how to beat the trap, how to stay on side. Okay, these are major things. They are not small things. And today the referees and linesmen have VAR, so that VAR rather is you're going to get caught out if you're offside. Okay, they've got the video replays, so you can't be hoping on the referee or the linesman making an error. Okay, you need to know, you have to stay on side. That there were some beautiful moves in the middle in patches, of course, but then they were all forwards were offside. I mean, it's absolute stupidity. I think, as you said, Rashford twice, and Greenwood, I think, was offside a couple of times, and Martial.
Yes.
These are things that need to be ingrained in them. How to beat that offside trap, because now it is even a toe or a foot which gets you offside because of the VAR. So they need to be, these are small things. I'm sorry, not small things, but big things they need to brush up. In fact, even De Gea for the penalty, if you noticed, he stood in the middle of the goal, behind the line. Okay, he didn't stand on the line. And then just before he could take the penalty, he came up. Okay, because the last time the penalty had to be retaken because he was off his line. So things like these need to be worked on. And you can't see, the Premier League is unforgiving. Okay, you can't expect, if you drop 3 points. Imagine Liverpool losing a title by 1 point a couple of years back. Okay, so that's how tight it's going to be this year. Look at the way the other teams are performing. Everton, Leeds, Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea have the quality. So on their day, they can definitely do damage. And let me tell you, Jose Mourinho is going to be rubbing his hands in glee. He knows what he has to do. It's very simple. Score one goal on the break, and that's about it. Defend. Because Manchester United cannot break down sides. They cannot break down a low block. They cannot. A park bus is all Jose Mourinho needs. Okay, and they don't have the players, nor are there any tactics that I have seen being used even post-COVID to break down a low block. Okay, they don't do it.
Right.
They can't do it. So if a team scores one goal and sets the coach sets up their side defensively, unless you get long balls over the top, that's all that's going to work. And then of course the forwards have to deliver. But tactically they need to really change a lot. This was, I'd say, yeah, on par with the Crystal Palace performance. Very bad, very bad. It was.
Okay.
I don't believe
I
this.
mean, coming to what you mentioned about VAR, I mean, we were lucky with two of the decisions yesterday. In terms of the penalty which got chalked off, which apparently Pogba had tackled one of their players, and then, I mean, when you have luck going your way, the penalty that got given after the full time whistle had gone. I mean, in a way, VAR helped us on both those counts.
I think VAR was right on, got it right on all the decisions of that game. Not giving the penalty.
Sorry about that. Yeah, go on.
Not giving the penalty, giving the penalty. The handball call after the final whistle had gone. At the end of the day, the decisions were all right. I mean, I cannot argue any of those the VAR decisions. They were correct. But overall, the performance we have had, it has to be raised to another level altogether. We have to get the team selection. Manchester United have to get the team selection correct. You cannot, that push in the end, the last, 8-9 minutes. If you noticed, it was Van der Beek pushing. He was driving the team forward. He was pushing forward, running forward, and Bruno Fernandes. What was the rest of the team doing? They had to, that intensity should have been shown for the full game. You don't, play like a championship side, and then after you concede one goal, suddenly get the intensity to equalize, then you drop off, then again you show an intensity. It doesn't work that way against higher rated teams. They will concede too many goals. Luckily, it was just one goal where they could come back. But if they go down by 2 goals or 3 goals, they aren't going to come back into any of those matches. So the whole setup needs to change.
Look, I mean, I look at it. I look at yesterday with with some level of satisfaction, I would say. And the reason why I say satisfaction is because, look, at the end of the day, what Bruno said was absolutely appropriate. I mean, the game is about getting points. It is not about hitting woodwork or the crossbar. So we got the 3 points. Yes, there is a big question mark in terms of the personnel we have and who we can choose from. There's still a question mark upon a lot of fitness and form of literally the entire team, barring 1 or 2 players. So I would look at it from a viewpoint that it was lucky 3 points. It's got us going, and hopefully the players will look back upon that and think that, let's use that as a platform or as a base to turn the corner and start putting some decent performances in. And that will be tested within the next 2 days. I mean, we are playing the same opposition on the same ground in the Carabao Cup. So what do you think the lineup would be like in that game?
Well, I really, because these lineups surprise me all the time. I mean, the normal logical lineup that needs to be on the pitch is never ever there. So I seriously don't know what they're going to put who they're going to put on the pitch. But he's going to start Van der Beek. I think so, and I hope common sense prevails. Bruno Fernandes, yes. I probably think he'd play Fred in Matic's position to give him a rest for Saturday. I think he needs to play Bai with Maguire and keep Mengi on the bench. At least let him play 10 minutes, 15 minutes if the team is, leading by a couple of goals. And I would play Brandon Williams in place of Van Bissaka and
Right.
leave Luke Shaw where he is because there's nobody else to play except Fosu Mensah. That is one option.
Mm.
And
Mm.
I think the forward three need to be the same. If they require match time and match fitness and they need to keep playing and they need minutes under their belt, then I think the Rashford, Martial, and Greenwood need to start.
See, this is exactly where the squad depth nemesis comes into the question as far as we are concerned. The team is going to be playing 48 hours later, and despite knowing that a lot of them need match fitness and game time, we would be in a position that too quick a game after the previous one can actually lead to certain niggles or certain injuries here or there. And then you have Spurs knocking on the door 4 days later. Uh, this is where I think Oli has got his work cut out because I believe that Henderson will start in the goal, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I mean, if we are not really going to do much about Delo, I would rather have Delo start instead of Van Bissaka. Um, Bailly start, yes, and Funsu Mensah in the center because let's be honest, we ran Maguire to the ground last season. So for him to play on a Saturday and then on a Tuesday and then on the next Saturday or a Sunday whenever the game is against Spurs, it'll be asking too much for him when he's also looking to get match fit and he's also looking to gain his match sharpness. Um, Midfield, I will go for a complete change. I would not risk Bruno Fernandes into this game at all, primarily because we have Van de Beek. I would, and because Scott McTominay is more comfortable, playing box to box. So I would have Van de Beek, McTominay, and Fred playing the Matic role. And the front three, I mean, it's anybody's guess. Would you bench Martial and bring on Igalo for some time? But then there you go. That's the quality of the squad we have. If we continue this way, you run the risk of tiring them and not being focused enough for the Spurs game. And if you make wholesale changes, then you're looking at a point that you might lose the game because it depends how seriously Brighton are going to take the Carabao Cup. They are definitely going to be charged up and raring to go against us again because they would believe that they lost the game in a very unjust or unlucky manner. So they would be pumped up to prove a point again. So I believe it's going to be a tough game again. Um, I, for me, I mean, I predicted it's going to be a 3-1 in the Premier League. It turned out to be 3-2. But I genuinely believe it's going to be a tougher game for us to play on Tuesday as compared to what we played on Saturday, primarily because Oli has a selection headache because he has a Spurs game 4 days later. And he has a selection headache because he doesn't have squad depth and he doesn't want to run the players to ground.
Funnily, if I'm not mistaken, he made a comment that we have enough centre backs to choose from. We don't need another centre back.
Oh man, come on.
He made that comment. I read it somewhere. We don't need another centre back. What is wrong?
Yes, he made that comment. But then, what do you expect? I mean, he has nobody there. He has the likes of Jones and Rojo, with whom the club has messed up by giving stupid contracts.
Club
and he
has
can't get rid of them.
messed up completely and totally. Period. Everywhere. They're a total mess. The board is rotten.
What do you think will happen in the Carabao Cup? What do you think of the scoreline? What do you think the game plan would be?
If Brighton, see, this is a chance for the Carabao Cup. The other games results can go either way. It is just a question of a few games. It's not like a 36 or 38 game season or 46 game season in the championship. The games can go either way. But Brighton have a chance of actually going for a trophy. Why not? Their squad is young. Their squad is raring to go. Their squad is intense. This fatigue is not going to bother them. I wouldn't be surprised if they put out the same side because they also have, I think, a couple of their players who would make the first 11 who are missing. So I wouldn't be surprised if they put the same side out. And if we, Manchester United don't play their strongest side against Brighton's strongest side, we are definitely looking at conceding goals. That is
I
for
mean,
sure.
to conclude here, what I would say is that I expect a tough game again. I expect
Absolutely.
selection headaches
Yes.
for Ollie. It's a trade-off between trying to win the game and trying to keep people as fresh as possible for the Spurs game, because that's going to be a tough ask given how we are in terms of fitness and confidence. So, I mean, I'm not going to predict a scoreline here, but I'm just going to say let's hope we win. But it's definitely going to be a very tough game to get through. Let's see how it goes, and hopefully we are in the next round for the Carabao Cup. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I seriously hope it all goes according to plan and that
Right.
we manage to get the win. Of course, there can't be a draw, so there has to be one winner. So I just hope they go through, and let's hope for the best because the way things are going and the performances on the pitch, I really fear for the results that are forthcoming. I just hope there is a really marked improvement in everything, in all areas. And I just
Well,
hope we come out with a positive result.
I'm sure these are professional footballers that they will get it around. We have turned it around previously, and I trust Ollie and these players to turn it around gradually. And hopefully, like it's there everywhere in social media that we're going to get a couple of signings in before the transfer window
I hope that
closes in about
happens. Yeah, I
eight to
really
ten
hope
days
that.
time. So if we get those two signings, Telles or Sancho or whoever is coming in, and they help revive the squad, they help improve the motivation and helps pump up everybody. I'm sure we're going to turn it around, and no better fixture to turn it around other than beating Spurs at Old Trafford. Um, so let's hope the team turns up on Tuesday, and now we'll be doing another pre-match of the Spurs game. I think on the coming Friday or a Thursday. We will figure that out. And but thanks for your time, Ashley.
Thanks, Mojo.
We did this in a very short call and a very short notice. We did this video. So thank you for your time.
Thanks very much.
And
And just hope
and
for
to everybody
all
out
things
there,
positive.
yes, all things positive. We got the 3 points, and let's hope we turn the corner in some form or the other. And to everybody out there, do like and subscribe our channel, and we'll be back with more content sometimes later this week. Have a preview for the Spurs game. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Thanks a lot.